Hello, everyone. Hello, Duelist. It is, of course, your boy, Windsor. We're back at it again with another one. I hope everyone watching is having a good day. As always, man, thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, all of that. Thank you so much. You guys are the reason we're growing so fast here. We're on our way to our goal before 2026. So we're so close. I think we need about 3 more 100 subscribers to reach our goal. And while we're talking about it, make sure that you guys scroll down, check if you're subscribed, and turn on the notification bell. Be sure to check out the description box as well. But just to make sure, if you want to help and if you can't, that's perfectly fine too. I gotta give it up for the channel members. You guys know the vibes. Shout out to Thomas Mead, Wymie, Quick, Jay, Steve Fox, Devin Bender, Absolutely Looney, Zeke, Tyler Wilson, Leo, Denari, Jared, Hassan, Alejandro, Corey, Dragon's God. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate every single one of you guys. What do you guys get when you become a channel member? You guys get a shout out on every single full video, early access to all full videos, and you guys get to play with games with me on Master Duel, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro at a channel that fits for everyone. If you're an Omega Chad like Dragon's God, you guys not only get all of that, but we could help you deck build if you're having issues. We'll do it live on stream. You just got to submit your deck list to me on Discord or Insta or TikTok and let me know that it's you, a channel member. So please consider if you can. And if you can't, that's perfectly fine. Thank you for even making it this far into the video. But today we're going to be doing a branded Despia deck profile with 3 structure decks only. So let's get into it today. Today we're showcasing what 3 structure decks can get you. So it's super budget friendly. You're going to find all these cards in this structure deck, so there's nothing added on top of it or anything crazy like that. So super budget friendly. Let's get right into it. So of course, monster lineup, we are doing 3 copies of Aluber, the Jester Despia. You have to play 3 of this guy. He's the #1 way to search cards in the deck. Because he searches any like branded card. He does have another way to summon himself out that does negate a monster in the field. But that doesn't really come up, and you don't get a search because you can't use both effects in the same turn. And then we are playing 3 copies of Cartesia. Please forgive me, guys. These are the wrong rarity. I couldn't find some of the cards, and these are just secrets that were sitting in my bulk. But these come in Ultra, and they would be in the structure deck. But you need this card 3 of because you still need to maximize the capability of fusing, because there's not a lot of ways to recover if you get ashed. So she's just another way to continue to push, in my personal opinion. Of course, we are still playing 3 copies of the Fallen of Albaz. You need this guy. Again, another one that is not the right rarity. It is Ultra, but it's not in the right set. So couldn't find them, funny enough. But you need 3 of these guys. The reason being is because he's a board breaker, and he's just like the main purpose of the deck. Because you always need him to fuse into things. And then we are playing 3 Albion the Shrouded Dragon. I still think this is a 3 of because you're going to discard something and then get a draw off of it. The deck still serves its same purpose, right? Get stuff into the graveyard to add back branded fusion, or just get stuff into the graveyard to, special things out like Cartesia. And then we are playing 2 Quem. I think Quem is extremely important. She's really bricky because you have some conflicting normal summons with Aluber, and sometimes Cartesia, depending on your hand. You could special summon her, but you don't want to have conflicting normal summons, or too many of them, in my opinion. So that's why I'm only playing 2. Playing 3 would be too much, and playing 1 is just not enough. Again, couldn't find the other copy. We are playing Bestial Lubellion. We're playing 3 of this guy. Typical and non like budget builds or non just 3 structure decks, you would only play like 1 of him because he can be a little bit bricky. Because you want to search things out, obviously, but Droll is still so powerful and prevalent in the game. Same thing with like Aluber, but he searches out something that search your engine where this doesn't. But he's still pretty important, and he sets a very powerful card onto the field that allows you to like fuse and whatnot. More Bestials, of course. We're playing 3 Serenir. This guy is not only a piece of a combo starter, but he's also a hand trap, same as all the other Bestials that aren't Lubellion. And he's fairly good because he sends stuff to the graveyard and starts setting that up. Same thing like Albion the Shrouded Dragon, he just sets stuff up. So we are playing 1 Druis, and then we're playing 1 Mag. I would play maybe another Baldrake, just to have more kind of hand traps. because light and dark monsters are still pretty popular, especially with like Yummy running around, Mitsu running around. Bestials are pretty strong in my opinion. We are playing one Kit, and we're playing one Mercurier, and then one Tragedy. The same lineup as like a regular build. These cards are inherently bricks except the Kit. But these cards you usually want to like send off a Foolish, or search off of Branded Loss, banish off of Gold Sark, because they get you search. You can make an argument maybe playing more Mercurier, but the thing is that even though, yes, this is just 3 structure decks, it's still a higher deck count, and we just don't want to add more bricks that don't do nothing for us. Where Kit could be special summoned, and she could be normaled, and she could be a searcher, but she needs another card in order to activate it, because you put something back at the bottom of the deck once you add either from the grave, banish, or the deck. We have a hand trap. We got Nibiru. I don't think it's like the best hand trap because there's ways to play like around this, in my personal opinion. But and the format kind of just punishes it. However, I'd rather have a hand trap than not. And because the way Branded's played, I don't think people are really expecting a nib in the main deck. And I think you catch people off guard that way. And that's it for the monsters. Into the spells, we are playing 3, the Fallen and the Virtuous. Now, in like regular builds, I could see this being like a one of. In a more pure build or just budget friendly, playing 3 of is really good because you want the Aluber to resolve when you search something, and this is just a way to get them off the field because you can target a card and you can send some very important stuff to the graveyard to get the ball rolling. 3 copies of Fusion Deployment. Forgive me, I know this is like the oddball out. I literally couldn't find my third. Yeah, Fusion Deployment just as important as like Cartesia, because it's just another Cartesia, or it could also be a board breaker the same way Fallen and Valvez would, because you could just summon them to the field and then you can start breaking your opponent's board. I love this art. I wish I pulled like a Starlight in the structure deck that I got. And then we are playing 3 copies of Branded in High Spirits. The same thing as the main, right? Nothing changes too much here. In combination with this and Serenir is literally to search Albaz or Branded Fusion. Because you activate this, reveal Titaniclad, send Serenir, add Shrouded Dragon, Bestial, Serenir, send to the graveyard, Branded Fusion or Retribution, and then Albion that you added off of the High Spirit sends a Branded Fusion or the other card that you need to add it back. So really, really good in my opinion. You need to play 3 of this. Branded Opening. I couldn't find a copy that came in the actual structure deck, so these are just all mismatching. I apologize, guys. I remember when this card was just a super rare and it was like $13, which was crazy. Simpler times, right? Normal summon a Luber, that's it. But yeah, you need this card. Also, another way to unclog your hand, because you could send stuff to the graveyard that you need. And then you could not commit the normal summon. And you could do things in the draw phase because it's a quick play. So you could activate summon a Luber effect, search, and you're not affected by draw in any kind of way. Obviously, 2 Branded Fusion, amazing, love it, love it, love it. If it was at 3, it'd be a little too strong because it's so good. We play the 1 Branded Lost, super impactful, super good. Just to give you a quick little lesson, guys, this gives you protection from your things. Your fusion effects cannot be negated, the activation. So for example, if you activate Branded Fusion and you have this face up on the field and your opponent ashes it, they'll still be negated because it's negating the effect, not the activation of the effect, which is very, very different. They just cannot negate like the Albaz or the Cartesia or Branded Fusion, the activation of it. When you start to get the protection is when the fusion summon in a chain is chain 1. For example, normal summon Albaz, activate the effect to fuse, your opponent chains to it, things resolve backwards, chain 2, whatever they activated, chain 1, the Fallen of Albaz, you summon Mirror Jade. And if your opponent were to have triggers from that, they wouldn't be able to chain, and you'd be able to activate the Mirror Jade effect without any kind of counter because you're under the protection of this. Whereas if your opponent did something in chain 1 and then you did chain 2, Fallen of Albaz to fuse, things resolve, chain 2 resolves, Albaz fuses, makes Mirror Jade, and then your opponent does chain 1, whatever their effect was. On the resolution, your opponent will be able to respond because the last thing that resolved wasn't a fusion, it was their effect. So, kind of a quick lesson. I wish I could go in more detail, but I want to keep this kind of quick. I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time, but we got one branded in white. This is one card that I was like really iffy if I even want to add, because it may or may not come up sometimes. And the extra deck isn't as versatile as one would think, but I think it's still necessary. Just another way to fuse. And a lot of the time you're just getting Fallen Lava's into the grave. We are playing one branded in white, branded in red. Super necessary still. I wish the deck had like Guardian Chimera. That would be insane. I love that card. That's still really good. We're playing one Gold Sark. Just a starter. Banish Tragedy. Foolish. Also just a starter. Send Tragedy. Bells at least. And then we are playing 3 copies of Thrust. Again, I know this is the odd one, but please forgive me. We are playing 3 copies. You're going to get Ash, guys. Let's be realistic. Your Branded Fusion, a good player, is going to save the Ash Blossom for the Branded Fusion, because that card gives you just too much value, in my opinion. And you need it so you can set cards and do stuff still. You know? And this is just a board breaker. Super Polymerization. Now, this is one card I was like pretty iffy because in the structure deck, it doesn't give you much option to like have super poly targets, but I still think it's critical because you could just normal summon Albaz and then activate super poly and then discard. It's literally the same thing as activating Albaz, and you can still do it with like Cartesia, because Cartesia for like Granganol just needs a light or dark monster in order to fuse, and those are still pretty prevalent in the meta, so it's still a really good super poly target in a way. And the newer guy can be too, but if for the traps, we are playing one Retribution. Of course, you're usually going to send this off of like Serenir, Albion the Shrouded Dragon, so you could banish it as cost to add the whatever branded spell or trap that you have in the graveyard. That's typically what it's used for, but it has a really good counter because it is a counter trap, of course. And you just shuffle back 2 fusions from the extra deck or 1 from the face up on the field to negate something. And then here we are playing one Branded Banishment. I think this card is still really good. Summons any Despia monster from the graveyard onto the field, and then you could super poly with your opponent's cards or just cards on the field. Really good in my opinion. It banishes the stuff too, so it could be really good removal. And then lastly, we're playing one Fusion Duplication. Like I said, your Branded Fusion is gonna get ashed. So after you do all your effects, activate Thrust, set this, and then Fusion Dupe on their turn. And your opponent cannot ash the Fusion Dupe, even though it's copying Branded Fusion, because that's not what they're trying to stop. They need to stop the copying effect. It's just copies. It isn't the effect, which is a weird ruling, but just how it works. But that's it for the main. The extra is like pretty straightforward. I just wanted to have the most option in order to break my opponent's board. I think there is a little bit to be desired from the structure deck, because they didn't give you real super poly targets other than just like maybe a couple. But we are playing a 3 Mirror Jade. Typically you only play 1, but this guy's such a threat. One of the best fusion monsters like ever created, in my opinion. Like the Fallen Albas, an extra deck monster, and then you just like fuse it, which is really good. So it's like board, it's removal, it's everything that you would ever want out of a fusion card. And then you got Albion. He is just another ad, realistically, even though he's part of the combo. You do this, you fuse, you do everything, you keep him on the field, and then you usually send the Lubellion to the graveyard. And then you tribute this off because he's a dark level 6 or higher dragon monster. And then you get the set effect, he gets in the graveyard, and then you get to set a card with Lubellion. And you need 3 of him to use that important. We're playing 2 Lubellion. This guy is really good in my opinion, but yeah, I hate the fact that you have to discard, right? And the problem with branded is sometimes you can't keep cards in your hand, or you have to go through a lot of hand usage to like really build a pretty solid board, and you typically end on like 2 cards, right? To really optimize. And usually one of those is going to be like a hand trap or like maybe a Mercurier that you added. And the fact that you have to discard cards when you have to discard so many things already, like for Super Poly, for Albaz, it's not the best, but he is necessary. We're playing 2 Granganol. Granganol is extremely important. He is also kind of like a Super Poly target because you just need Cartesia and a light or a dark monster, which is pretty popular. Yummy, Mitsu, right? You have options. And he sends stuff to the graveyard. You need 2 because you just want to send some proper stuff to the graveyard. You could even set extra deck monsters that give you more advantage on your opponent's turn. like Titaniclad, or you could send the new fusion monster to the graveyard. Speaking of which, we are playing just one. The dragon that devours the dogma on summon. He on special summon at that. He shuffles up to 2 cards in the graveyard, and he needs the Fallen of Albaz, a light monster or a dark, and then an effect monster. So you could have like literally like Fallen of Albaz, a Yummy, and then a Mitsu, and you literally just break their board, right? You literally board wipe 2 cards. So this card's pretty good as a super poly target, and he does add something back. You could add a Tri-Brigade or a Dogmatica card, which you're going to add a Tri-Brigade like McCurrier or Kit just to get more follow-up. We're playing 1 Spring. He moves through columns to like pop whatever is in that column. And even then, he just needs an effect monster that will summon this turn. Doesn't come up enough in my opinion, but good enough. In a Titaniclad, typically you're not going to go into him because you're going to send him to the graveyard for your combo. That way you could go ahead and bring him back, or get the search, or get the special summon. Excuse me. You could summon Fallen of Albaz or Quem realistically, and you could either get your extension on through Quem or break their board through Fallen of Albaz. We're playing Alba Lenatus. We are only playing the one. He's really good because he just needs a dragon and the Fallen of Albaz. So you could like normal set the Fallen of Albaz and then contact fuse with their board. So really, really good in my opinion. And then we play 1 Rimbrum. This guy's phenomenal. I think he's one of the better like monsters because he could go ahead and negate any extra effect as long as he's in the field. Also, he's a board breaker because you can send him to the graveyard to summon the Fallen of Albaz and then board wipe or quick fuse, excuse me. Or you could banish the Fallen of Albaz to summon him, right? There's numerous ways to like really use him in my personal opinion. Okay, guys, so that is going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, for supporting, enjoying. Hopefully this list helped you out, give you an idea of how to like build branded. There's a lot of changes I would have made if we weren't on a budget build, but if you want to see a full power build, make sure you check out my other videos as well. I did a full power list short and a full video to like really break it down, so please check that out if you can. That is going to be it for me today. Thank you for watching, thank you for supporting. Enjoy the rest of your days, guys, and peace out.